Hello, my good friends. I'm so glad to be back with you today. Thank you for all your prayers for my wife Judy and me. We truly need your prayers and we appreciate them so very much. Today, I'd like to just have a brief chat with you concerning how so much attention is now being focused on the very apparent rise of Dictator Donald Trump. There is no doubt among anyone who is paying any attention that the USA is now rapidly moving from a democratic republic to become an authoritarian autocracy. As you know, if you've been following this channel over the years, we've been trying to sound the alarm loud and clear that Donald Trump is the biblical end times last days final Antichrist foretold in the scriptures. And let's just look at some of the headlines that are now appearing over the past several weeks. Here's one headline. Those who study political science say the U.S. is heading toward a dictatorship. The red flags abound. And political research tells us the U.S. is fast becoming an autocracy. Here's another headline. U.S. ex-ambassadors warn of slide into authoritarianism. 4 ex-heads of U.S. embassies in nations that swung from democracies to dictatorships say that the landscape today in the USA is eerily familiar. In other words, here are 4 people cited in this article who were U.S. ambassadors to foreign countries that went from being democracies to becoming dictatorships. And these 4 former ambassadors all say that what they see happening in the U.S. right now with Donald Trump is just like what they saw happen in the nations where they once served as ambassadors. Just as those nations succumbed to dictatorship, they see the U.S. following the same pattern. Here's another headline. A history professor who studies the rise of fascism throughout history claims that Donald Trump is speeding toward dictatorship faster than Putin. Here's a similar headline. Exactly 100 years after Mussolini became a dictator in Italy, a Trumpian U.S. flirts with the long night of authoritarianism. The comparison between Mussolini's dictatorship in 1925 with Donald Trump in 2025 is striking. Here's another headline. Fear of retribution spreading. Experts warn of creeping authoritarianism under Trump. And another headline. Hundreds of scholars say the U.S. is swiftly heading toward authoritarianism. And here's another recent headline. Trump taps Palantir to compile data on Americans. Donald Trump has advanced his plan to create a national citizen database with technology firm Palantir. The White House has contracted Palantir, an analytics company co-founded by Trump supporter Peter Thiel, to compile a database of personal information on all American citizens. The Palantir deal marks a significant development in government data collection, drawing sharp concern from privacy advocates who compared the centralized database effort to surveillance initiatives in authoritarian regimes. One computer scientist said, quote, Palantir is building the infrastructure for the police state. Here's another headline. Shocker poll finds 52% of Americans see Trump as a dangerous dictator. A public opinion researcher shares striking new data revealing what Americans really think of Trump's autocratic and lawless presidency. Another recent headline: Donald Trump warns we are going to have troops everywhere. Although the U.S. Constitution forbids the use of military troops to police U.S. citizens, Trump's Department of Defense Chief Pete Hegseth has said that the troops are ready. Here's another headline: Trump has said he hopes to deport and jail U.S. citizens abroad in foreign prisons. And here's another headline: Trump has ordered the reopening of the infamous Alcatraz prison, not to mention all the other moves he is making, implementing policies and initiatives aimed at expanding the capacity of prisons and jails across the USA. And here's another headline: the chilling list of dictators who held military birthday parades. This coming June the 14th, this coming Saturday, on Trump's birthday, a grand military parade will run through the streets of Washington, D.C. And the headlines in recent days keep sounding the alarm. From Foreign Affairs, the path to American authoritarianism, what comes after democracy breaks down. And this headline from an opinion piece: I am watching the U.S. enthusiastically leap into an authoritarian regime. And again, Trump's illegitimate power grab brings U.S. closer to dictatorship. And this headline: after Trump hailed himself as King Trump on his Truth Social platform, Trump, governing as an authoritarian, publicly portrays himself as King Dictator. The headlines just keep on coming. And thank God for the Fourth Estate. The news media is far from perfect, and of course there are bad sources of information. But let's thank God there are honest reporters out there still, if you can find them. And without them, we would be much less informed. Many headlines are screaming to the people, wake up and be aware of what is on the horizon. The honest and truthful headlines today are proclaiming things the Bible foretold thousands of years ago. The Antichrist is rising on the world stage. The anti-Christian charlatan who deceives the undiscerning. God says, be not deceived.